So we can see here that the nuclear electricity has changed. Now, if you want to again bring it back to continuous form, we can select continuous. So that is how it will show us over here. When we changed it to discrete, the marks pane disappeared. Yeah. And the graphs, the bar graphs also here had vanished. So this is one thing that I would like you to take a look at. That apart, you can add table calculations and quick table calculations also. That is the running total difference and moving averages, percentage of total percent difference and things like that. You can add table calculations, so that click add on that. So now a difference from what? You're computing using table, cell or specific dimensions. These parameters you'll have to fill in. You'll have to provide the data for these, and then you can accordingly make a table calculation for the given measure or for the given dimensions for that matter. Let's make it first. Okay, so we are speaking of what? We are speaking of Afghanistan. If you have to select next, sort order also we have to define if we have to. Row labels, if you want, we can define the row labels also here. So this is how you can implement or introduce the table calculation also. Difference from what? From the specific dimension, which is row label, relative to the next value with specific dimension. You can also take the customized dimension here. So it will show you the calculation assistance, and I click OK, close it. So this is how your overall graph will change, or the difference in nuclear electricity will look like, because that is what we are seeking to do. Again, let's come back here, add table calculation. So this is the difference, right, from the table down and relative to the previous one. So that is how it is showing you the values. If I have to select here rank or percentile, or maybe, yeah, percent of total. So these values you can see here, these values are changing as per the percentage of total values. If I have to make this rank, this will change automatically, right? What do we see here? That like the values that are the highest values and the lowest values have changed. So we are making the table calculation for any particular measure that we intend to do. So okay, in our case, we are doing so for hydroelectricity. So anyway, we can close this. And so this is what we have as for the rows and columns panes. Also, let us take a bit of a look here, or let us do one thing. We'll add some filters. Let us work a bit with the filters as well. So I'm taking GDP as a filter. Okay. And for GDP, what is it that I intend to take? I'll take average GDP. So I click next. Now they have provided us with the range of values. So at the least, minimum, and I click apply. So what do we have here? We have taken the average GDP, and I'm showing it as a filter. So it will come up over here, show filter. So when I, yeah, so this is how the filter shows up. Now, when I change this, you can see that the GDP values will change accordingly. And why is that? Because the average GDP value of US is the highest, followed by China. And then the third number is the world. If I stretch it over here, yeah, we can see there are more countries now. So, but still, the average GDP is what, 110. So out here, we can see the highest is with UK. For what? For hydroelectricity. Okay. And the same is then followed by China, and then it's India, United States. No, not even United States. It's Japan, United States, and then China. And then finally, we have the world. So, but again, this is for the rank of hydroelectricity. So if I come here and I change the hydroelectricity's rank, this is a sum. So let's come back here on this. Out here, we are computing using what row labels and relative to what? Relative to the next values. Okay. If we want, we can also select any of these countries. Suppose if I were to select Armenia. So with regard to Armenia, this is how the ranks of all these countries will change. So when we say a rank of Armenia for what? For the average GDP value. And this is how the values will change. So this is another important aspect. Again, all of this is pertaining to the features of panes. So when I say features of panes, it means all the relevant features that are inbuilt for those panes. Fine. Now for the marks itself, let us click on here. We can also hide the card. We can unhide the card. Now out here for all, we are having the bars. Okay. If you can change it as a line graph also. So this is how the line graph appears for all of them. If I wish to make these changes here, we can also change this to our area, graphs, and things like that. If you want to make any changes to the nuclear electricity in terms of, now obviously since we changed for all of them, therefore the values that we are seeing here are for nuclear electricity, also for the hydroelectricity. As we see here, the colors can also be changed. This is the color that we want to take, suppose. So we can take this color, we can also take this color that we want for the area. They also have provided us with the label and the appearance. You can show the mark labels also. So it is activating the text box over here for hiding the mark labels. And then we have the details also, track dimensions and measures here. So if you want to go to the details of any particular dimension or a measure, then you bring it over here and click on. Yeah. So it will tell us the sum of the oil electricity that we have. You can show it as a filter. So we are adding the electricity out here, oil electricity as a filter as well. So with this, I have covered marks also. Let's go on the filters pane. And the tooltip, of course, that's something I missed out. When I click on tooltip, it drags the dimension of measure here and click for more options. So again, let us bring renewables electricity on tooltip. And then on the renewables, what do we see here? Well, on the renewables, these are the options that it throws up. If you take its filter, you can also ask for show filter, and it will show the filter for the renewables. And again, all these values are out here as sum. Okay, if you want, we can change them. They measure from sum to average values also. Okay. So then these filters will change accordingly. So based on the measure that you select, the changes will be reflected in accordance on the data visualization or the graph chart or bar chart that you are drawing. So that is another important thing that you all need to understand very well. After this, are there any other values that we wish to take? Let's select measure names and what's in there. Aha. So out here, we are taking this as a measure name and we are applying it as a sort. Let us apply sort here for alphabetic order. Okay. So this is how you have worked on the panes and the filters also. Let's do something, work some bit on pages. So I'm bringing solar electricity and dropping it over here on pages. So when I bring it here on pages, how does it show up over here? Now we had selected lines here. Okay, so that's the reason it is showing us here as lines. And so if I want to make any changes to the renewables, those changes will be reflected over here. So out here, we have brought in the pages also, and we are making the changes to the pages which are reflected across the fields and the dimensions and measures that we intend to bring them to implement them onto. So what we did here was, let's go back again. Let us take, okay, population here on pages. So what do we see here? When you bring population here on pages, we can actually bring about the changes here, we can show the history. You can make any selections for last 5 or whatever marks you want to show the history for. So that is what we do here. So this is how you are using the pages. With this, what we are now doing is we'll now pick some dedicated set of tasks out here. Let's click on show me. Okay. Yeah, and if I select this or this, okay. When you change the graph that you want to select, obviously its specifications come up over here. So when the specifications change over here, you can actually see as to how their positions change on the different panes also. So if I select, suppose, this graph, which is a stack bar, then it will change here in the different panes. So this is how the overall spread will change when you working across panes. And while working across the panes, we understand how the overall data visualization changes. So that is what we are seeing. We are also seeing that as we change the graph out here, the relevant movement of the measures and dimensions across the columns, rows, filters, or mark panes also is reflected. So if I'm clicking here, see out I can see only 3 measures in the rows pane. But if I change it over here to this particular graph, now this is for the horizontal bar. If I click on stack bar, if I select side by side bars, then we can see here that the changes have been affected over here. So this is how your changes in the graph will also affect your panes, irrespective of whether the rows or columns, page filters, or marks panes.